Hey everyone, welcome back to Week Ahead Astrology Breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and I'm reporting to you live from Calgary. I love this city. It is always so rejuvenating and so grounding, and all the people here are really lovely. So if you have not had a chance to visit Calgary as of late, I would recommend it. And that's also just a nice note for everyone, especially if you've done your astrocartography. I teased that out and I should probably explain it more. I'll do so in a future video or content, I promise. But with the world map, you can look at all the different planets and even like your north node to see where these different lines move through in the world. So you could have like your Venus line cutting through certain cities in which you and a romantic partner would really get along in, or where you might find love. And there could be Mars where there's ambition and drive. So I'll place a link below if you want to put in your birth details to look at your astrocartography, just to play around with that. It's something I also do with my clients if they're curious. Why I brought that up is because my Mars line runs like right through Calgary. So of course it makes sense that I have so much fun and I have a lot of passion for this city. But that in accordance with your own intuition, like if there are certain cities that you love traveling to, or where you always have a great time with friends or with a lover, or where you find a lot of opportunity, that could be something that would be interesting to look at while mapping ahead 2023, because that really is coming back to the week ahead. What this week is going to entail, it's about slowing down. It's about honoring your body. It's about saying no and setting boundaries. It's about finding your self-autonomy and self-worth, and how you want to amalgamate all those topics into the year ahead. Okay. So with that, let's dive into the astrology so I can show you all what is happening if I can find it. There we go. Boom. So we're starting off on Monday, December 26th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We start off with the moon almost exactly conjunct Saturn. Remember that Saturn likes to slow things down, likes to add some discipline, add some diligent work. It could also just be a straight up no. Like if we're talking about the moon also representing the body, maybe you've indulged or consumed things that you wouldn't normally consume on a regular basis. So maybe your body just needs a little bit of a break, a little bit of a detox, a little bit of a cleanse, or it's just could be a feminine or a mother-esque energy that you're setting some boundaries with. And maybe you just need some alone time on Monday where you're not around family or friends or even people. Maybe you just want to be out in nature or with a pet, or just simply by yourself, like I said. So really be sure to honor that and see where your body is telling you that it needs a little bit of extra support and a little bit of extra care. When we move on to Tuesday, the moon is now in the sign of Pisces, which is quite nice. We have this moon sun sextile, a nice combination of emotions with pragmatic approach. This could be a time as well, if we're talking about Tuesday and Wednesday, that's a really good time to manifest, to start setting some solid intentions, to start seeing where intuitively you're being led to grow. Remember that we've had a lot of shifts in the cosmos in and around these holiday seasons. We just had Jupiter move into Aries. We had that Capricorn new moon. And if you're wanting extra resources on those and how you can work with those energies, giving yourself the gift of knowledge and power, I'll place the links for our workshops in the description of this video. But this is also more of a restful, peaceful, romantic, creative energy as the moon is in Pisces. So this could also be you just coming back to yourself and doing things with people or on your own that bring you joy, that allow for that creativity, allow for that spirituality, allow for that innovation, intuition, all to come forward. And if we're talking about Wednesday, we have the moon conjunct Neptune, and then we also have Venus in very close proximity to Mercury. Mercury is going to station retrograde on the 29th. So I feel like a lot of things could happen. I feel like if maybe certain boundaries are not upheld, it would be very tempting to go back to an old lover or someone that maybe you were interacting with at the start of this year, or themes around love and self-worth from the start of 2022. Because remember, at the end of 2021, So about a year ago, Venus was retrograde conjunct Pluto at, I believe, 26 degrees of Capricorn. There's also an ambulance right by. So that is interesting. One, we will bless wherever they're going. But secondly, if maybe an old lover approaches and they are no longer aligned, we say no, especially the fact that an ambulance went by at that exact moment, which is very interesting, energetically speaking. But this is a time to really hone in. You might also just be really tired or really exhausted. You need extra time to sleep, or just being a sleepy kitty all day on Wednesday. It is interesting what's happening this week in terms of allowing yourself to slow down, allowing yourself to set better boundaries, because this could be, not that it's a trick or a trap, it's just Moon conjunct Neptune can sometimes be that all of our boundaries just disappear, or we give people the benefit of the doubt, or we allow our emotions to override logic. And sometimes we need our emotions to take over, to trust in our heart. It's just with this Mercury retrograde happening on the 29th and Mercury stationing conjunct Venus exactly down to the minute, and then the moon is conjunct Jupiter, this Thursday might be a little bit of hurry up and wait. It could be you're getting signs and messaging that what you're wanting to manifest is coming, but maybe it's not here right now. And that moon in Aries can be very impatient, very excited, very passionate. But if we're dealing with this retrograde right now, this could be a chance to see, okay, how far have I grown? What steps have I taken to become a better person, to respect myself more, and thus respect others and my environments and my opportunities more? And this could also just be an energy where you're being told no or not yet. So it allows you to go back to the drawing board and see what else you can do to better yourself. This could also be a situation where maybe a superior at work, or it is a lover or someone else like, I really want to pursue this, but not right now. Or I'm going to get back to you at the end of the week, or I'm going to get back to you in the new year. So maybe you're getting an answer that you want, but it's not happening at this exact second. I am just curious to see what forms. This could also be a really nice energy around a deal or a sale that you really want. So maybe you find really cheap tickets to go on international destination for like the 31st, or maybe you get a really good deal on a car, or a really good deal like on a mortgage or a home. Because we're talking about Venus and Mercury and Capricorn. It's more of these long-term investments that we're wanting to engage in. And with the moon conjunct Jupiter, it'd be something that's like very miraculous or very expansive and could just happen very quickly. So if you've been waiting to hear good news around an opportunity or finances, this could be a really good opportunity. I would just make sure you read the fine print, that you maybe get a second opinion. Even when I was thinking about this in regards to a love or a lover, that if someone messages you back and you get the answer that you want, make sure that your boundaries are still upheld, making sure that you don't just jump into this, because that Aries moon is going to be like salivating to get what it wants right now. But don't forget the more pragmatic, methodical approach that Capricorn brings. Both Capricorn and Aries are cardinal signs. So they want to initiate, they want to start something new. But even going back to Wednesday, that moon conjunct Neptune, please trust what's coming in intuitively. Listen to your body, listen to your surroundings, listen to what you need and what you want, so that when this news comes in on Thursday, which I'm pretty sure, like, especially looking at your Capricorn ruled house in your chart, some kind of correspondence or news is likely to come in, if not on Thursday, maybe by Friday or at the end of the week. So if you get if you get very clear on what it is you are summoning, what you want to manifest, what it is you really need moving forward in 2023, it's likely that you'll get an answer that you want on the 29th. Excuse me. Now, yeah, that's also interesting too. I just keep feeling intuitively, everyone who's watching, that one, don't forget your voice on Thursday. So if you get an offer or you get news that maybe you don't like, don't just sit back and be docile and just accept that. You're allowed to have a voice. You're allowed to negotiate. You're allowed to use your strength through your actions and your words and your intellect. And it might be in a more maybe aggressive way to counteract that or to go back to that superior, that lover, or it might just be in a way that you've never done before and is more of an optimistic or faithful approach. You're like, this is something that I feel like we can do together. This is something I want to fight for. This is something I want us to grow together. And that's also something that's interesting too, given that the moon is making that sextile to Mars retrograde, that there might be like unfinished business or unfinished conversations or something that you maybe will receive closure on. And that's also a big energy in terms of conversations, because on Friday, now the moon is separating from that conjunction with Chiron, because remember with asteroids, we really look to like a 3-degree conjunction for significance. But the moon is then making that applied square to Mercury and Venus retrograde. So let's say an offer comes in on Thursday, then Friday might be the day for you to take time to sit with that on Thursday and then come back to it on Friday. And remember, this could be like friends, this could be neighbors, this could be any relationship. It's just usually work and love and self are the primary interest, but this could be any of which of those conversations arise. So just be aware that it could be a conversation with your mother, a grandmother, a female friend, or a feminine energy, or even just your own self with how you deal with receiving. And for more specificity, looking at where these conversations might take place in your life to the houses in which Capricorn and Aries are ruled. So we're just using this chart as an example. The first house is the house of self. Fourth house has to do with parents, family, dwelling. So in this example, let's say you are a Capricorn rising, then you might be having a conversation with your mother or with a parent or with an element of how you receive love or receive acknowledgement. So that can just be something that you are working with to understand how these transits specifically affect you and where maybe you might expect a conversation or negotiations or reshifting of mindset, just to take this breakdown one step further to apply it to your own chart. Okay. Another thing that I was thinking of with this moon square Mercury and Venus, especially conjunct Chiron, is maybe you might feel insecure with your success, your status, your worth, your beauty, finances, because we all know during the holidays, people are traveling a lot to all corners of the world. They're posting photos of their family, their loved ones, lovers, their travels. And so you might feel jealous or envious, or you feel like maybe you didn't achieve as much as you wanted this year. And instead of allowing those thoughts to dictate your power and your worth, like that moon in Aries, you can do it in a way of saying, okay, one, social media isn't real. We know this. But secondly, how do you want to use your power, to use your focus, to use your strength, to carve out your own path so that this time next year, you are getting to partake in certain activities, not just for the holidays, but throughout the year that are in greater alignment with you. And how do you define success? How do you define power? How do you define autonomy? These are questions that I'd like you to ask, especially when you move on to Saturday, because Saturday, 31st, end of the year, there's going to be a lot going on energetically, of course, but that moon is making a square to both Pluto and Venus. And remember, we said earlier in the video that Venus was retrograde at approximately 26 degrees, conjunct Pluto last year. I believe it was Boxing Day, so December 26th of 2021. So there might be more of these themes that are coming up in terms of how you relate to others. What is your worth in relation to others? And that could be job, that could be money, that could be love. But this could also be great opportunities for revelation in terms of, I keep doing the same thing over and over and over again at work or with my parents or with whatever the relationship is, so that there's a way for you to break free of that thought or limiting belief or individual in that relationship, so you no longer have to keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. And for those of you who are with family over the holidays, that might be very obvious in terms of the growth and the work that you've done. But then being in a similar situation to when you were younger, maybe losing your way a little bit or having to remove conversations or thoughts or beliefs that aren't yours. So then this square between Moon and Pluto can allow for better structures, better security, more power, what you possess to bring that forward. Because we can also see this Venus-Pluto conjunction is very strong here as well. So that is control, power, obsession, how you are relating to others or how others relate to you. So this could be a very powerful day where a lot of things are unlocked, or you reevaluate what takes your power and what you give your power to. especially with all things related to your emotions and what you value. Which brings me to Sunday, which is really a culmination of this entire week, which is really beautiful. And the fact that it falls on January 1st is quite poetic. We have the moon exalted in Taurus, conjunct the North Node, conjunct Uranus, and the moon is making that trine to the sun in Capricorn, and also later on in the day, Mercury retrograde. So for me, this is the day to plan the entire year ahead, to see where intuitively you're feeling guided, to maybe make certain goals or priorities or intentions for each month, just whatever feels good intuitively. It doesn't need to be overly specific, but it can be as specific as you'd like, to really honor yourself and see how you're wanting to move through the year. You can also do an exercise where you are writing a letter to yourself as if this year has already happened for 2023, and you can just see what comes up just autonomically or intuitively as certain goals or certain things that you want to manifest, to create, to summon, all come through. Of course, you might be feeling a certain type of way if you partied on New Year's Eve, which is fine. I would still just take time to maybe write down some intentions for the month of January. This is just a really good day to get grounded, to get focused on what you're wanting to bring in that's going to make you comfortable, make you feel safe, make you feel loved, especially from a long-term structure, which is why, given all this Capricorn energy, that you're in it for the long game, that you are calling in situations, relationships, people, opportunity, whatever else you'd like to summon, that is going to aid you for a long time. And it's okay to go back to that, but just taking the time and setting forth specific things throughout the weeks, the months, or even if just 3 specific goals that you're going to be focusing on. Whatever works best for you, Sunday is a great day for that. Okay? Fabulous. So we are going to do the astrology question of the week, and this comes from Gemini Jess. I'm learning about degrees, and I'm very intrigued by critical degrees. I've recently heard that 29 degrees, the anaretic degree, is associated with fate. I've looked it up, and some astrologers find this to be a negative thing, while others find it to represent a catalyst for positive, destined things to happen. What is your take on the 29th degree? Thank you. Thank you, Gemini Jess. So I agree with regards to critical degrees that there's often this faded energy, but more of a pressure, I find, for that energy to appear or to manifest. So as a little example, let's just use Harry Potter. There's this energy, spoiler alert, that he is a boy who lived, that he is the one prophesized to be the only one to be able to defeat Voldemort, the antagonist. So if you had that pressure on you to be like, you're the only one that could achieve blank. Yes, that gives a lot of power. This gives a lot of emphasis. It gives a lot of momentum for you to go forward in that direction, but it also causes a lot of pressure and anxiety if you feel like you're not living up to that pedestaled image of yourself or what others think of you. That'd be like saying if you have your Venus at 29 degrees, maybe in Libra or Taurus, where she is in her domicile, maybe you are a fashion designer and you come up with innovative designs season after season, show after show, and there's this pressure on you to keep creating. What you create is art and is talked about around the world. So that Venus is so strong and it is allowing you to evolve yourself in such powerful ways, but there's still pressure on you to continually succeed in that realm, in that Venusian flavor. So it can go both ways in the sense of it is your fate in this example to become the brilliant, innovative fashion designer known across the world. But that can also add some pressure if you feel like you're not living up to your fullest potential year after year. So if you look to your chart, you can look to see if you have any planets at 29 degrees or any angles. I often find too, when I do this in consults, that even angles at 29 degrees say a lot about the person and what they feel like, because that can also be in a way that, let's say you feel, or I've even had clients say that they're like, I just feel like I'm meant to be famous. I feel like I'm meant to be a change maker. I feel like I'm meant to be a parent. I don't know why, but this is just such a strong calling. Then there might be that 29th degree placement in a certain house and or a certain zodiac sign, which speaks to why they feel so passionately about why that is supposed to come forward. So take a look at that. Even if we're looking at Egyptian term rulers, which is another aspect of astrology, but each of the 12 zodiac signs is divided into 5 different bound or term rulers. And at any sign at 29 degrees, either the bound ruler is Mars or Saturn. So that adds another layer of that intensity, of that focus, of that mastery, given that Mars and Saturn are known as the malefic planets. Having that planet or having that angle being ruled by Mars or Saturn can be very tricky, just in terms of what's going to come for. It's probably not going to be as easy to become a master fashion designer that has brilliant designs known across the land, or to be a leader that is leading an entire nation. These things are beautiful for the individual and they give them a lot of power, but there's also a lot of responsibility. So yes, it's a faded energy because I feel like you're always either chasing or focusing on that part of your life. However, it can come at a cost as to whether or not you're really willing to put in that much work, focus, study, investment or not. The last thing I'll say about this is usually no matter what, your soul always is trying to bring you back to that faded point, right? Because what your soul wanted to do. So even if it doesn't happen when you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s, it might happen later on in your life, right? So if you look at your chart and there's certain placements or angles at 29 degrees and you're maybe freaking out, you're like, I don't know how to make this happen. I don't know how this is going to work. Like I already have a family or I have kids or I have things that I feel like I missed out on. Trust that the universe will always conspire to make those opportunities come through no matter what. Okay. Beautiful. So that is it for the week. Let me know if you have any questions on what we discussed from the week ahead or any follow-up questions on critical degrees, especially the anaretic degree at 29 degrees. And if you're wanting additional resources for the Capricorn new moon or the Jupiter in Aries webinar, the links are below in the description. And I shall talk to you next week. Bye.